A very good morning to you, our viewers. This is the Camnet Breakfast. My name is Sharon Kalimbola, and on the other chair, I have Patrick Soko. Though not yet seated, still gallivanting around the corridors of Camnet TV. He will be joining me shortly. However, we have a very exciting show. As usual, we have two interviews with two great women from different industries, of course, but sharing a common goal, owing to the fact that this is a Women's Month and we are looking at issues affecting women and how best we can improve the welfare. So keep watch and look out for these two interviews and learn one or two things. However, we continue with all the segments that we have, including zooming the headlines, as well as the morning boost, which helps us to keep fit, and the health corner, of course. But for now, though, let's just go straight into the morning boost. When we return, we'll be having a conversation on some of the stories that made headlines as we zoom in and also look at the money markets. Good morning.
Good morning, Camnet viewers, and welcome to our quick morning show, quick morning workout, and you will be able to benefit from everything we're doing. So remember, the key thing is just for us to help you be fit, exercise, burn some fats in the body, stay fit, and so that your executive functions are on the peak. Okay, as usual, start with a warm-up. Let's go. Just a warm up. A warm up. Warm up. And marching. Hip, 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 hip. Invite everybody in the house. Let's do it together. Everyone is invited. We're going to throw some punches today. Let's go. Last one. All right. You're all welcome once again. Just in case you're getting out of your blankets, join us quick. Let's exercise together. All right, I promise that we're going to do some punches today. Okay, let's start. Two each now. One each. Two each. One each. Two each. One each. Low punch now. Go. Stay low. Watch my legs. Stay there. And up. Punch up. We're going to mix them now. High punch and low punches. Ready? Let's go. Low punch. Up. punch. And matching. Okay, you did well with your punches. We're gonna do a knee high and a kick now. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Last one. 1, 2. Kick now. Let's go. 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Back to knee. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Again. Knee high. Last knee. 1, 2. Kick now. If you feel your leg is heavy, let's do this. 1 and 2. Let's go, mama. 1, 2, 1, 2. High. Higher now. High. High. High now. Let's go. There you go. Kick. Can you hear me? Camnet team. Woo. Let's go. Let the blood flow. No more blood clot on your legs. Let's go. 1 and 2. And matching now. All right. Trust me, you did well with your punches and the knee highs and the kicks. Thank you so much. This is Isaac Matsa, your presenter. I'm going to see you next week again as we do our quick morning show. Make sure that you don't miss this breakfast show. Thank you, and I sign out.
Welcome back. So that's is it Isaac Matsa? I don't know why. I think he'll find me one day because I've given him a name. I think he just needs to accept. But anyways, that's Isaac Matsa there giving us that 5 minutes workout, as he calls it himself, because he thinks that everybody else is capable. 5 minutes is manageable for anyone to do. I'm not so sure though, but Patrick always says it's very, very important to do this morning workout as it chases away non-communicable diseases, for lack of a better term, in a layman's language. I'm not a medical practitioner to use those exact words they're supposed to use. So stop looking at me like that, Patrick. I know it's Women's Month. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you. I was just trying to pay attention to what you were saying.
Anyway, I want to ask you other things, however, not now. It's a story after. It's a story after the saint. But anyways, Patrick, that is Isaac Matsa there giving us that 5 minute workout, and we have also Health Corner, where we have a doctor that will also be taking us through another health segment. The workout, Patrick, is a workout, is also a health related issue. So soon after that, we go straight into the morning corner, and we see what the doctors have from the Zambia Women Medical Association. Is it? Medical Women Association of Zambia. Exactly. The Medical Women Association of Zambia. Yes. And then let's look at this.
Good morning once again. Hope we are well today. My name is Francisca Walia. I'm a medical doctor by profession, specialized in psychiatry and mental health field in medicine. And today I'm coming here creating awareness on behalf of Medical Women Association of Zambia. And as women in the medical field, we just want to create awareness around mental health. And this week, we've been speaking about various mental health presentations. We started with what mental health is, how does mental health present itself, and the previous day we were speaking about depression. And of course, after speaking about depression, today we'll speak about suicide, something that we've seen an increased reporting recently on. So maybe just to make us have an understanding of suicide, I will just speak a little bit more around depression. Suicide is a severe presentation of depression. So when one is depressed, one is low, they are not hopeful about life, about the future, and a lot of times people who are depressed have a lot of negative thoughts. And their perception about themselves, other people, and the world is distorted and usually very negative, which will usually bring them to a place of actually thinking that, is life actually worth it? Should I continue living? Because they're in a bad place. They feel very miserable. And for a lot of them, by the time they start contemplating suicide, they're actually in a place where they feel they are trapped. Others would describe it as, I feel like I'm in a deep, dark well, and I can't see the light, and I don't have any hope of coming out of it. And many efforts that I have made to try and come out of this well are just not successful, and I just don't see anything ever getting better. And it's usually from that place that a lot of people present with suicide. Suicidal thoughts. For others, they'll go further, they'll even have plans on how to end their lives. Then allow me to just also introduce another term, which is parasuicide. When we talk of suicide, then we're talking about an individual who has successfully ended their life. By me saying successful, I don't mean it like in a positive way or like it's a good thing, but they've achieved their aim of wanting to end their life. Though when we talk about parasuicide, these are individuals who they've attempted to end their life, but they have not achieved it. And if we are to be helpful, we should pay close attention to these individuals who are parasuicides. Then allow me to go back to speaking again on suicide. I'm sure by now a lot of us have seen different reporting of suicides, and we've realized that this presentation of suicide is not unique to a specific age group or to a specific gender. Just as we were speaking in the introduction of what mental health is, mental health affects anyone, any age, any gender, and the same is true about suicide. And a lot of times a common question that I get is, Doc, but is it possible this person is just pretending? Is it possible they just want attention? In certain instances, that could be true. Though, as we were speaking in the other session, as human beings, our natural instinct is to survive and to apply ourselves to survive. So if we find an individual thinking of ending their life, that's a great red flag. So whatever the presentation, I think what would be important would be to actually go take time to engage this individual and find out, why are they thinking that way? Why do they find the need to present that way to get attention or what they want, and deal with the root cause of that presentation. Though again, at the same time, a lot of people who've successfully committed suicide, a lot of them are parasuicide individuals. A lot of them at some point, they had reported wanting to end their life, or even attempted but were not successful. So when it comes to suicide presentations, we should always take it with so much eager, be very diligent with the follow-up with these individuals, because they are at an increased risk of actually becoming a suicide victim. So let's look out. Then further, another important aspect that I would like to highlight at this point is that a lot of times people, when they're thinking of a suicide victim, they're looking for a point where this individual say, I want to kill myself, or actually hear these actual words. But it's not about those actual words, as much as those may be the words that we're looking for, but it's about us actually paying attention, listening to these individuals. A lot of times they'll use certain phrases that may seem mild or might not get the attention of many other people, but that's why we're trying to say, pay attention, listen. Others will use phrases like, I think I've reached my end of life. Life doesn't make any sense for me. I wouldn't mind actually just dying. When we hear people starting to talk that way, that should get our attention. At that point, it's not enough to just give them support, to be that friend, that sister, that cousin, but it might be actually important to actually get some professional intervention at that point. And in different circumstances, maybe it could just be that someone was expressing themselves that way, and those are the words that they chose to use at that point, but they're not actually thinking of harming themselves or ending their life. But I think it would still be safer to get some intervention at that point, because we never know. It's better for someone to have gotten some help, assistance, and intervention, and the professionals actually see that, okay, this person is actually not in danger, than not take that step and only later on find someone has committed suicide. If one gets a professional assessment and things are found to be okay, that's good. Though, importantly as well, if that assessment is done and someone is found wanting and it's actually picked up that this person is actually suicidal, at least that individual will get the necessary attention, medical and professional attention that they need at that particular point. And further, what should be our perception of these individuals who attempt suicide but maybe are not successful? What's our perception of them? How do we approach them? What's our attitude towards them? These individuals need our compassion. They need our love. They need our attention. It's not for us to start throwing stones, but it's for us to try and take time to investigate, to engage them and find out what brought them to that point so that we can help them get to a better place. And this better place and assistance could be just talk therapy in certain instances. We've seen talk therapy to be helpful for so many people, and various research has shown how very helpful it can be. In other instances, one may actually need medication. Medication as well is helpful, and in most instances, one will actually need both psychotherapy and medication. Treatment is available, help is available. So let's change the narrative around suicide presentation. Thank you. Let's be our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper. Let's look out for one another. Let's love our neighbor, and that neighbor is anyone you come into contact with. Thank you.
Welcome back. There you have it, our interesting segment. As usual, we bring out an unique aspects when it comes to the health corner on Camnet TV, and that just speaks to the trending issue. Week in, week out, we talk about suicide.
Exactly.
Someone has committed suicide. Just yesterday, we heard of a story of a cop in Mansa who shot himself with a gun, Sharon, to take his life, but his own life. No, what suicide does is that, like you said when we were talking in the background, it is a cowardice behavior or attitude, because you leave the people around you with a lot of suspicion.
A lot of questions.
A lot of questions that are unanswered, and people are wondering, did we do something?
Did we do the wrong thing?
Or what happened? Maybe is it because of what I said?
Yeah.
You know, or maybe was it the failure to take responsibility? All those things come into play. But talking about suicide, the way we are portraying it on social media, that's something also we need to be conscious of. I know there are a lot of citizen journalists who do not have boundaries when it comes to ethics. They are just posting things as they are, and that is subjecting our children to such illicit content, so to say, bad content, because at the end of the day, people are thinking that it's easy to commit suicide, and it's an easy way out of problems. But in actual sense, that's not the case. So there is always a way you can get around an issue, like the Dr. Wale explained. We need to be paying attention to the people around us.
Indeed, Patrick, I think it's very important. Yesterday, I think we touched a bit
yes.
about this, to say we need to ensure that will be our brother's keeper, and she has actually mentioned that statement as well. I should be able to listen to you. I should be able to read the signs. If I'm your friend, I need to know and understand who you are, and I should be able to monitor and observe the change in action or attitude towards certain things. For example, if you love singing, you know, and then you just stop abruptly,
You should wonder.
I should wonder. I should ask you to say, okay, what is really happening? So that you can explain to me. Also, one of the things that really makes people bottle up situations and just decide to go with them to the grave is we become news sellers of our colleagues' issues, you know. Your friend confides in you, tells you something, you probably start using it against them, you know, or you start sharing with everybody else. Certain situations are quite embarrassing, you know.
Yeah.
If I find myself being talked about almost everywhere, I may not be able to contain it. Instead, I will decide the other route which I feel is the easiest.
Yes.
Also, weaponizing situations. You tell me a situation that you did, I start using that against you every time you make a mistake. So that's why you're not so bad. You know, that's why you're not so bad. It's very wrong to weaponize situations against people who confide in you.
Yeah, especially you people like yourselves who are in leadership positions. You know, you have to understand each and every situation your workers are going through. But just because Soko has confided in you, Sharon, it doesn't mean Bonwell should be entitled to that information, because I may not be comfortable him knowing my situation.
Exactly.
But I'm comfortable with you. But if I'm explaining to you, it doesn't mean
and then I become
because
a BBC.
Every time like I'm passing and say, in fact, many have vizofuna na kwacha na mapresha yawe yamene yacha nichi munga siwa fola you get that arrangement.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, Bono also has people he confides in.
He will confide.
So he will confide
at the end of the day
in Isaac, and when Isaac also confides in Elijah, you see the
whole community knows.
Now the whole community, and when Soko is passing, he's just walking a walk of shame. And to avoid the walk of shame, you know what the next step?
They'll commit suicide. So, they'll take a step that feels easier.
That's why the doctor there pointed out the aspect of, let's be the brothers or sisters keepers, so that we understand, pay attention to issues. And when someone confides in you, it's
keep
you.
It encrypted. I usually use the word encrypted most of the time. When I have a conversation with you, it's end to end. It's you telling me what you want, you know. Unless it's something that is already in the public domain, then we can discuss it. But then if it's something that is really being told in confidence, I think it's only natural and important that you keep it to yourself until the right time when that person says, okay, maybe it can be shared. There are certain situations where I am only comfortable with you, like you mentioned. I tell you, and then I'll tell other people at the right time, you know? But I just want to vent.
First of all, yes.
Yes. I just want to vent. You want to create that space while I wrap around my head with that situation. Then at the right time, I'll tell the world to say, okay, this is exactly what's happening to me. So when that happens, kindly encrypt the conversation. Let's develop the art of encrypting conversations to also avoid people going to extremes.
And that's what social media has actually destroyed.
There's a lot of bullying
where, for
around.
instance, sometimes someone confides in you, the next thing, the conversation is on social media, or they are being talked about indirectly, and that person is able to depict to say, but this person is talking about my situation, you know? And they just want to gain likes on social media, and this same desperation for recognition, and especially on social media platforms, Sharon, it is really creating anxiety amongst people and leading to depression. Just to say, okay, I'm able to also do this. You say I need more likes. You end up doing things that you cannot sustain. And when you fail to sustain such activities, you end up getting depressed. And those things we need to avoid.
Social media really has, in a way, contributed to a lot of mental health related issues, because there's a lot of bullying that goes on. There's just a lot of, sometimes even not necessarily be bullying, but, you know, people posting their alleged good life when other people are really going through a hard time. Sometimes it has that effect on other people who think, oh my goodness, these people are living large, what happens to me? You know, it becomes to take a toll on their lives. So sometimes, not really that I'm stopping people from doing that, but sometimes that has an effect on just innocent people's lives who may not even know you, you know, but then they're looking at, this person is just as a human being as I am. You know, maybe we're even together in school. But, you know, people don't understand all these things. So that's the more reason why Dr. there was mentioning, say, there are also psychology, psychosocial?
Yes, psychosocial counselors.
Counselors who need to just be there and talk to them, pour out your heart, and then they'll offer you professional conversation. You talk things out, really. I always talk about, let's have these facilities almost everywhere.
If you remember, Sharon, HIV used to be fueling suicides.
Yes.
When you are diagnosed with HIV, the next time you would want to take your own life. But you know what counseling did to that? Because people were able to have access to counseling services. And people were cancelled before undertaking a test. And after a test, they were cancelled. People now appreciate that aspect. And we are seeing that HIV is no longer being classified as a death sentence, because people are now appreciating and understanding that you can live a normal life even having HIV. Exactly. But there are various issues now, Sharon, economic-wise, social, that may cause you to
fall into depression.
Yes, or then seek to commit suicide. But are there available counseling services? The answer is no, because in each and every community we need such services to be accessible. And not everyone else can manage, for instance, to pay for in the private sector to access those services. And those are things we need to be talking about as a country, because we even have a law, the Mental Health Act, which talks about that. But how are we actualizing that various provisions? Those are the conversation we need to steer if we are to ensure that we keep abreast and combat this suicide mission that has been going on in our country. And just now, Sharon, I think I will be going into our next segment, which is money markets. And on the money markets, we also have talk about a bit of some sports on the games that were played as of last night, and good results coming from there.
You seem excited.
And yes, and the team which I introduced you to did wonders.
Did wonders.
Yes,
the ones you posted on social media?
Yes. So
okay, Isaac, help us go to those scores so that Patrick can go straight into talking about those things. Very excited. Can't wait.
Interesting, Sharon. So the week, I will wrap up the week with the games through and through. We will start with yesterday's game, the games on Tuesday, which was Bayern Munich versus Salzburg. This game ended 7-1 in favor of Bayern Munich, and on aggregate it was 8-2. And we also saw Liverpool progressing to the next round after they lost the match against Inter Milan, but on aggregate they won by 2-1, so they progressed to the next round. And we also have Man City played to a goalless draw with Sporting, but they had a 5-0 aggregate in their favor, so they progressed as well. Then Real Madrid, Sharon, this is the team I was telling you about yesterday, which managed to beat PSG. And I was recruiting you to this team yesterday, and you saw how it did wonders.
You're quoting me, but you didn't tell me they were playing. So really, I was blank. I just saw you posting on your profile on Facebook. Yeah. I was like, okay, is this the team you told me to support? I don't know if you even responded, because
I did. Really? I did.
Okay, so how were the scores?
We won by 3-1 yesterday.
For starters, you need to tell me what jersey they wear. I don't even know.
White is the traditional jersey.
Okay.
Yes.
And what other colors do they? Huh?
They also have blue, they also have black, they also have green. It varies, but for now they are using mostly black and white.
What does it take for me to get into the loop of sports, of football, for example?
Listen off the pitch on Saturday.
No, but I once asked these people what Mu18 means. They didn't answer me.
Mu18?
Yes.
You want me to tell Mu18? I can tell you. Do you see that margin where someone has to kick a penalty? Where they take a penalty from?
I think there are 2 boxes.
Yes, there's a 16 and 18.
So which one is 18?
The 18 is the bigger one.
Okay, why is it called that way?
That's an 18-yard area, based on the margins of the stadium.
But anyways,
But we're okay now. Now
no,
I think
I'm
we
trying.
convince you.
I'm trying so hard to know and understand these things. But it took quite a bit of some time, and I will keep following. And just remind me when you're playing, to say, okay, when they are playing, actually, not you. But you had that community soccer that you used to play as media.
Yes, we have a team of journalists, and you used to be a supporter, I remember sometime.
Yes,
But what happened?
I was a cheerleader because I didn't understand what Mo 18 was. I just thought I was
No, we
time.
have told you, Mo 18, this weekend we are playing as the Lusaka media team. You need to be there.
Okay, what time are you playing?
We should be playing at 14.
I'll be there. Don't worry. Yes, indeed, that is the sports segment. Just now we go straight into the money markets and see how our kwacha is faring against the major convertibles. So the United States dollars is buying at 17 kwacha 97 Ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 31 Ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 23 kwacha 61 Ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 06 Ngwe. The Euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 Ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 Ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 1 kwacha 19 Ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 21 Ngwe. Those are your money markets as of today, the 10th of March 2022. Patrick, I must make mention before we go further into the show that today is World Kidney Day, actually, and we are remembering and keeping the people who are suffering from kidney failure, those that are fit, those that almost, having their kidneys fail, to visit their nearest health facility and just have their kidneys checked. Yesterday we had a very, very good conversation over this with one of the nurses in charge of the renal department at University Teaching Hospital, Patrick, and quite a good conversation we had, and we will surely bring it on TV and you will appreciate what it means to have healthy kidneys and what it means to have not so healthy kidneys and what it is to have collapsed kidneys.
Yes.
So we wish those people going through those situations well, and just a reminder to the people out there, go and have your kidneys checked. I think that was a clarion call from her.
Yeah, interesting, Sharon. That is, those are things that we need to be talking about, especially when we talk about our health systems. When you talk about achieving universal access to quality health, these are the conversations that need to be ignited, because health is among the sustainable development goals which Zambia has assigned to and we seek to achieve. And if we are to achieve that, services like kidney need to be well addressed in the country, because most of the times we do see some certain disease taking real prominence, like the COVID-19 has done. It has really taken over the health sector. Every time we see it fashionable to just announce every death on COVID-19 when people are dying as a result of substance abuse, as a result of suicide abuse, as a result of suicide. Rather, and the malaria, Sharon, like you point out. But if you ask me, HIV is killing more people than COVID-19.
Yeah.
Malaria is killing our people than COVID-19, has been killing our people than COVID-19. But we didn't see it fashionable to be announcing
every day.
And
say 10 people have died of HIV. Malaria has killed so and so. We have an outbreak of this. But COVID-19 has been at the center stage of our conversations for the close to 3 years now.
Yes. And
2019 December to date, we've just been talking about COVID-19 every day.
Yes.
Economies have collapsed. Some are recovering now. Some are still finding it hard to just move from the state of collapse to normalcy.
But in our conversation, Sharon, we had to talk about dialysis machines.
Dialysis machines.
Yes. How available are they?
How available?
Are these services accessible at every first level hospital? Those are things we need to be talking about, because we saw one of the stories in our news.
Yes.
In Western Province, it is a challenge. People have to come to Lusaka and other places where these services can be accessed.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about quality health services, we need to ensure that these services are available within the communities, so that people are able to walk, access a service, go back. But now we are even now. It was easier to find Panadol now even Panadol is being prescripted. So these are issues in the health sector we need to be
and it's a
addressed.
very expensive treatment, Patrick. Very expensive treatment. When your kidneys are really collapsed, it's an expensive treatment. It's an expensive treatment, such that the majority of the people who cannot access it for free will just start saying bye to their family members, because it's not something that a poor man can manage to be undertaking, like every week 3 times at an exorbitant amount, to buy all those things they call consumables, to use in the whole process of dialysis. It's quite expensive. And the call also was that the ministry responsible for health and government in general should strictly look into this and ensure that people's lives are preserved. The Member of Parliament there, Mr. Mangweta, spoke about this also, to say they're hoping that this year they will build a hospital that will have at least a renal department, because he has seen, obviously, that there is a need for that.
Yes.
So we can't have people traveling all the way from Western Province to Lusaka just to access that. Meaning what? They'll be camped in Lusaka. And that also brings other economic challenges.
Yes.
So it's a holistic thing that needs to be looked at. However, we go straight into zooming one of the stories that we aired yesterday, and this is the petition story from the courts. Miriam Kaimba found this report, and just look at it, and thereafter we continue with the conversation as we wait for our guests. Good morning.
After putting up a spirited fight to defend his election as Mukushi North Constituency Member of Parliament, it is all smiles for Christopher Chiwe, following a landmark judgment delivered by the Constitutional Court to declare his election valid. Mr. Chiwe, who might have spent sleepless nights of late after his elections were nullified last year in November, has booked himself a ticket of celebration after the Constitutional Court on Wednesday morning reversed the High Court's decision to nullify his election as PF's Mukushi North MP and declared him as the duly elected Member of Parliament. This was in a matter in which Mr. Chiwe had appealed in the Constitutional Court against the decision by the lower court to nullify his seat after losing UPND Mukushi North candidate Tapson Kunda successfully petitioned his seat on ground that he engaged in electoral malpractices. Mr. Kunda had alleged that Mr. Chiwe was still getting his salary at the time he was contesting the election, as he was Deputy Permanent Secretary for Luapula Province and was using government institutions for his campaigns. However, Mr. Chiwe, through his lawyer, appealed to the Constitutional Court and argued that the Circular number 12 of 2020 had no legal effect and the Secretary to the Cabinet did not have the authority to perform a legislative function such as issuing the statutory instrument. According to Circular 12 of 2020, it was stating that all public officers, including those serving in foreign missions intending to participate in the 12 August 2021 general elections, were directed to resign from public office not later than November 30th, 2020. The Constitutional Court, however, says there was no breach of the Constitution because the appellant, Mr. Chiwe, was not in public office at the time he filed his nomination papers. The court has found that the lower court erred in law, in fact, when it nullified the election of Mr. Chiwe based on the said Cabinet Officer Circular number 12. Mr. Chiwe, who was last year disallowed to attend any parliamentary proceedings by the Speaker of the National Assembly due to the fact that his elections were nullified, can now go back to Parliament. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
There you have it. That's our first story in terms of zooming the headlines.
People have started scoring, Patrick.
Exactly.
Impressive.
Yeah, lucky for him because...
Lucky for him. So that leaves 7. Is it 8?
Yeah, should be
that
7.
That leaves 8
yeah.
members of parliament. However, there were 9, but one of them didn't petition, the daughter to Mwamba, Geoffrey Bwale Mwamba, for Kasama Central. She didn't petition that election. She just said, okay, Inena Fibefi, I just want my peace. So they just remained 8 men for under the Patriotic Front who were petitioning these nullifications. However, he has managed to be pronounced duly elected. So that leaves 7 of them. Among them is the Boma Nusambos of that world, the Malanjis of that world.
Yes, those are the remaining ones.
The remaining ones.
Yeah, we are expecting that those cases will be disposed of as well as soon, especially that now the Constitutional Court is sitting, and we are hoping that they will expedite the process so that we can know whether we are going to be having the by-elections
or what?
And everything. But the conversation, Sharon, that has been coming has been also as a country to look at electoral reforms so that we do not go back to that route where we continue exhausting a lot of our resources towards the hosting of by-elections because they are costly at the end of the day. So we need to ensure that we put in place laws. I remember when we were revising the 2016 Constitution, one of the major issues was to ensure that we curtail by-elections. And in curtailing by-elections, there was that aspect of crossing over to the other side should it necessitate a by-election. We're trying to address that other issue, and
now comes up
another issue. And you find ourselves even in the aspect of paying twice for nominations. Those are laws that we don't need as a country because they're just exploitative, and some things sometimes we just the Electoral Commission of Zambia can make a discretion because is there a need, Sharon, if you ask me, to compel people to pay twice, provided someone has withdrawn?
However, I think one of the conversations that had sparked debate at some point when we're talking about electoral reforms was the issue of the second person to take over. The person who came second in an election to take over once the other person dies, God forbid. For example, that time it was more pronounced on the presidential level. If the president kicks the bucket, the next person in line should take over without any election. I mean, exactly. But you know, the debate that was there was that,
yeah, that's where I was heading to, because if you were second, Sharon, you would do a constructed assassination of your colleague to say, I take over. You know? But what would be the better way to do that? Probably, I think what would work is the second and third person can be subjected to Parliament. Then Parliament can vote.
It still goes back to the same thing of, if at all the person who came out third,
but there you are not guaranteed because you have to convince other parliamentarians in the House to vote for you.
But that way again, it's going to be for the party that has majority of members in Parliament will keep winning because they'll keep supporting their member. You know,
that's another
thing. So it's a lot of thinking that needs to go on to ensure that this thing is done correctly. Otherwise, we are scared of those same things of assassinations. I think we have a country in Africa that has that type of situation whereby the next person in line.
If we put the last
succeeds? But anyways, you are watching Camnet Breakfast. You two out there can call in and send us those text messages and give us your view on this. It's a very topical discussion whereby we can't exhaust it, Patrick. You and I will keep going back and forth. However,
I think this is a conversation we can have with our viewers next week.
Yes, because really, we can't keep doing this. We need to move towards the right direction and help the country save some resources. Laws can be made and submissions can be made, obviously, at any given time. And as long as we set the right agenda as the media, maybe it will be acted upon with the prompt it deserves. Before this by-election starts coming into play, at least the law should be changed. It doesn't have to go through the whole process of changing the whole constitution.
But I think that there's a way.
There's a way it can be done to ensure that just that is changed. Really, even the Electoral Commission of Zambia during the previous election for Kawata, they called for electoral reforms. They just felt exhausted with the whole process.
But
you know. So yeah, they called for electoral reforms. They've been having engagements with different stakeholders, the media, political parties, CSOs, and we've seen quite progressive statements coming from there, from the Chief Electoral Officer, among other stakeholders at ECZ. So we are tracking those conversations and ensure that something better comes up.
The man of the moment, Sharon Haiv Hamududu, was at it and was suggesting that the UPND government has no economic plan.
He always has plans.
So we get into
Mr.
that. So
Hamududu
that's
always
how
has plans.
we get to listen to that story where he was highlighting that they need to do more. And Mr. Hamududu has been made famous by his name, Sharon.
Yes, indeed. After the 2021 election, even
He has a member of parliament, some political parties that were formed a long time ago.
Don't have, but that was just by chance. Anyways, that's a story for another day, like I always say when I don't want to.
But the chance could have gone to Pep.
It would have gone to Pep.
But the chance could have gone to the DP.
Are we going there? Are we having this conversation? Let's go straight into that story, Isaac, and look at what Hamududu was saying.
Hamududu. 19th March 2022, various stakeholders convened in Lusaka to listen to the live debate of the United Party for National Development UPND's first 6 months in government. The panelists included the Party of National Unit President Haif Hamududu, Alliance for Accountability Action Representative Andrew Banda, and Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kawana. Mr. Hamududu during the debate has indicated that even though it is too early to criticize the new administration, the UPND has no clear economic and development plan, hence doing things without consultation and clear direction.
Reality has come to show that, one, you can't employ teachers immediately. Why? The money is not there. You cannot employ health workers immediately. The money is not there. Free education cannot just be implemented just at once. We were there under UNIP. The country got broke, and the children got lost because basically the government ran out of money. We went through the so-called free education. We were supposed to pay back. The issue of giving free education for people who can afford is not correct. Free education should remain for those who cannot afford, because free education is the most expensive undertaking for any government.
Mr. Hamududu also touched on the public sector wage bill, which he says is a matter of great urgency, which the new administration has overlooked.
The UPND has forgotten to deal with the other elephant. The public sector wage bill is a huge problem. And they have not shown any political will to reform the private sector. I want to say this, colleagues. A huge government collapses the economy. The real jobs are created in the private sector.
Meanwhile, Alliance for Accountability Action Representative Andrew Banda says though the UPND administration has scored in some sectors, more still needs to be done as some grey areas are beginning to patch up.
Issues that have to do with the Public Order Act, issues have to do with access to information, the expanded Bill of Rights. These are things which I think government have been saying are in the pipeline and they are being expedited. But these are things which are still hanging, and these are things which can give empowerment to the citizens and the citizens to take things into their own hands.
And in defending the new administration, Mr. Kawana, who is also director spokesperson for the Ministry of Information, says whatever the new administration has done has been to bring development to the Zambian people.
You take away education from a country. When you make education only for those that are affluent, rich, and able to take it, you are giving yourselves a trajectory of poverty. This poverty that is being in this country has been historical, exacerbated by two things. Number one, the lack of education amongst our people, therefore having less people being able to read and write. Number two, exacerbated by the fact that all issues that are drivers of development were centralized.
The eyes of the Zambian people are on the new administration to see how they fulfill their campaign promises. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
About 80% of the Zambian population uses charcoal as their primary source of energy for cooking and heating. However, 90% of the charcoal on the market is unlicensed. The 2010-2015 Natural Capital Report account on the forest reviewed that the vast majority of Zambia's charcoal is produced and traded without obtaining the necessary permits from the government, and charcoal production is a major contributor to the loss of Zambia's forests and greenhouse gas emissions. To respond to this challenge, the Zambian government, with the help of the United States aid, has launched a multi-stakeholder task force to monitor the charcoal value chain. Ministry of Green Economy and Environment Permanent Secretary John Musmuko, who spoke through the Director Forest, Ignatius Makumbi, is confident that the task force will be action-oriented and not mere talking.
Therefore, the government is conscious that whatever policies are put in place must take this into consideration. The main concern is the unregulated production and trade in charcoal, which is taking place across the country, resulting in adverse environmental consequences. Illegal charcoal poses great danger to the environment because of the manner in which it is produced. In the illegal charcoal production process, there is completely no regard for sustainable principles of forest management. As a result, unlawful charcoal production and trade has negative impacts on the environment and the country. Producers of illegal charcoal do not follow guidelines with respect to the location, species of trees used, sizes of trees, or even the habitat type.
It notes with concern that the uncoordinated production of charcoal continues to fuel deforestation, a situation he said must be addressed.
What's being done to reduce charcoal production and consumption are being done independently and in isolation by the different stakeholders. The same applies to the government ministries and departments who are making different efforts. I wish to recognize the presence of the Zambia Police Service here, and I would want to emphasize that these are supposed to be key stakeholders in terms of trying to curb illegal activities such as associated with illegal charcoal production. My sincere hope is that this charcoal task force will improve coordination and facilitate combining of efforts in tackling the challenges of illegal charcoal production and trade.
During the meeting, it was clarified that there is no ban on charcoal production, but a quest to ensure a coordinated approach to prevent the country from becoming a desert.
Down one tree and you want to plant a similar tree, how long it will take for it to grow? We have to protect Zambia in terms of the climate change. And when you look at charcoal, charcoal is consumed here in town. That's where the market is.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
You're still watching Camnet Breakfast. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. On the other side, we have Patrick Soko. And it is still Women's Month, and we are talking issues relating to women daily, at least on a couple of minutes. Yes. We dedicate those minutes to talking about women and their achievements, as well as other things that we want to achieve at the end of the day. So right now on set we are joined by a very, 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 very important, prominent lady who is chief editor for Anawachi magazine. She is Mpunga Simukwai. Mpunga, welcome to the set.
Thank you so much.
Great to have you.
Yeah, good morning. Good to have breakfast with you guys here.
Happy Women's Month.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to have you. However, just show this magazine to the people. Just show it. Just brag about it.
Okay, there we go. That's our Nachi. Barely 5 days old on the market.
It's a new baby.
It's a new baby.
That has grown
pretty
so
new.
much.
Yeah.
But anyways, tell us about it, really.
Okay, so this magazine is called, so we pronounce it as Our Nachi.
Oh,
yeah.
Our Nachi.
Our Nachi, which is an Amwanga word, which simply means women. So it is a magazine that aims to tell the story of the unsung heroines in our communities, those ordinary women that have achieved amazing things, but their story is not heard, maybe because, they don't make the news headlines. But we want to highlight women like that because they tell a story of faith, they tell a story of determination, they tell a story of resilience. So that is what our Nachi is about. It's basically the story of the unsung heroines.
The becoming of Anawachi, how long have you been planning this?
In earnest, I think about a year. It was birthed from just a discussion I had with my mentor, Mrs. Muzinga Melu, over a Sunday afternoon cup of tea. And, we just were talking about what we're planning, what I was planning in terms of my career, in terms of just my personal life. And then she suggested, so have you ever thought of doing a magazine? I said, a magazine? No, I think I'm more of a TV person. I'm comfortable in TV, I'm comfortable in radio. But then just that really triggered the start of Our Nachi. So Our Nachi is a product of faith. I'm a woman of faith. And then also it is a product of mentorship. And it's for that reason that I value mentorship. I love to mentor young ladies, those that reach out to me, even those that I just identify and say, this young lady may need mentorship, because I have benefited in that sense from being mentored.
Great. So, but why was it deliberate that you had to unveil it during the Women's Month?
Absolutely. You know, Our Nachi is about women. So what a better month than March to unveil the magazine. And because, like I mentioned, we look at, you know, celebrating the unsung heroines, but we also go to look at literally the woman 360. We bring in here issues of business, you know, entrepreneurial insights. We bring in here issues of fashion and beauty. We like to look good, you know. Yes. We bring in aspects of mental health, a very topical issue now that's affecting the country, actually the world over. And you can't run away from the fact that women are also impacted in that sense. We have a column that looks at women's health. We have a column that looks at faith, because really we are a product of faith, like I mentioned. We also have aspects that look at family values, the importance of having good family values, because the family is the basis of the society that we live in. And then, of course, we have entertainment. So there's quite a lot. It's a mixed bag of different aspects that you would read. And then our target audience is just women from all walks of life.
Interesting. So, but how often is it going to be coming? Is it going to be coming weekly, monthly, yearly?
Oh my, Patrick, you and I know weekly. Weekly is almost impossible. So it's a quarterly publication. So every quarter we intend to do a publication, but we just don't want to go hard copy. We're making arrangements to have a digital copy. Obviously, it's a new product on the market. Still assessing to see what the market will warm up to, whether it will be more of the hard copy or the digital copy. But definitely the digital copy will be available, because already we have a lot of interest from outside the country. People would like to have a copy of it.
So digital would be easier, especially in this digital era.
Absolutely.
When you talk about women and mental health, it's a very topical thing you've mentioned, and we've been talking about it before you came. What is your call with regards to women and mental health?
I think I always say that we have to stop striving to be perfect. We have to get to a point where we realize it's okay to not be okay. It's okay for me to say, look, I don't have money for fuel today. Patrick, could you help me with money for fuel? Not thinking, what will Patrick think if I ask him about not having fuel? So we have to get to a point where we can never be perfect. And that's why we need the grace of God in our lives, because we can never be perfect. But we need to get to a point where we say, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay for me to tell you, my friend, I'm feeling depressed. To talk about it. It doesn't help to keep matters to yourself. Always find that support system, people that are your confidants. Usually the concern is, if I tell her about this, how far would this go? How far will it be broadcast? But get to a point where you build your own support system. Get to a point where you're able to identify people that you know that when I talk to this person, it will end here, and they will encourage me and they will help me through this phase that I'm going through.
Great stuff. Interesting. So, how is the response so far? A week old or
5 days old?
Less than a week. How is the response so far? Because we are seeing Facebook taken by Our Nachi. Our Nachi is all over Facebook, social media. Just how has been the response, and how are people accessing the copy? At what cost?
So
someone may go and grab a copy, say, it's from
I want 10 of these.
And I want to
Meanwhile,
yes, believe it or not, the response has been amazing. The response has been amazing. I think the fact that it's a Zambian product by a woman in Women's Month, so the response has really been amazing. It's only going at 100 kwacha. And so far, like I've said, the response has really been very good. The magazine is available at Bookworld Mandahill and book called Pinnacle. It's also available at Radio Christian Voice. And then another Zambian women-led restaurant at East Park called Amalgam. So it's available in those 4 points for now. And then also we're doing deliveries. There are people that are calling and say, look, I can't go to any of those places that you've listed on your poster. Would like to just you to deliver to us. And we're doing deliveries as well.
Wow. At what cost? Is the bigger question.
At what cost?
Only the way she went low on the
100 kwacha. It's 100 kwacha only, and you
tell us some of the topics that you've covered there,
yes,
at least that you
the
feel.
First quarter.
Yes.
What are the issues?
So in the first quarter, we've profiled a lady called Elina Mpundu Namkoko, who's a widow. So she's our relentless woman, we call her, the spotlight that I talked about, the unsung heroines. Her name is Elina Namkoko Mpundu, who became widowed and had to move from Arkan Barracks, where she was staying with her husband and kids, and then moved on to Chipata compound, had to start selling second-hand shoes, and then took her children through secondary school, through university, college, and the children are now working and they're independent. So those are the stories that we'd like to highlight. So we have a story from Elina. We also have a story from Paxina. Paxina Hankanga is from ZNBC, a well-known public figure who shares her story of thriving after divorce. She went through divorce, left 6 kids to raise on her own. She has raised them. They're amazing kids, all grown up. She shares her story as well, because obviously divorce is a part of our society, but how do you recover from that as a woman? When you've gone through divorce, your self-esteem is gone, your self-worth is gone. How do you recover from that? So we have Paxina's story in here. We have, like I mentioned, the aspect of mental health. We're looking at anxiety. You know, there's some people that will not be able to do certain things because they get panic attacks, they get anxious and unable to sleep, so it affects them to that extent. We have a business article in there written by one of our contributors from Canada, Chansa Arumunde, who is a financial literacy advocate. She has an article in there. So there's quite a lot. We have an article on fashion and beauty. We're looking at natural hair, celebrating our own African natural hair. We have a column also on beauty. We have entertainment. It's a mixed bag. Plenty of interesting stories.
Hope to see our women at Camnet being covered in one of the editions.
Of course.
We have women who have done
He's now lobbying. Yes, he's now lobbying for us.
No, he's not lobbying. Obviously, you have a story to tell. And you know, I always say that for everyone has a story to tell.
Everyone has a unique story that they are keeping, behind closed doors. And when they are ready to tell that story, people would be amazed to say, okay, is this what you actually went through? Is this what you experienced? Is this? So I'm very excited about this magazine. I'm hoping that a lot of people will learn the story of resilience and just being successful at the end of the day.
Yeah, we understand you are equally a communication specialist. We are in the industry. You are our comrades, our colleagues. And just how are you is this project helping to keep the print media alive, considering the fact that of late we have been having our own magazines in terms of many of them being on the market that can sell, that people can relate to. And we've just been seeing tabloids like newspapers that are also having a challenge to survive. How did you opt to also contribute to the print media industry?
So like you said, the cost is a huge aspect of it. And really, if you're going to look at cost, I'll probably not be publishing our Nachi. But like I've been saying, I think the aspect of the digital space is something worth considering. So we've said, like, for now, we will have hard copy for this first edition. It will give us an opportunity to assess the market, but we'll go more on the digital space. This one was for the purposes of launching, and then also there are still some people who want to hold a magazine.
I am one of those people.
You know, you don't want to get a gadget and you are reading. You want to just have a feel of the paper. You want to touch
I want to file it.
Yeah, you want to have it there, print it out. So it is, the truth of the matter is that print is very expensive. We were fortunate to have a few sponsors come on board, but even then it's not an easy or straightforward kind of business. So obviously when you introduce a product like this, you must be agile, you must be thinking, how else can I innovate and still make sure that this publication remains on the market? So you need to move with the times. You can't insist on hard copy, hard copy, hard copy, if the majority of the people are saying, look, give us soft copy.
Yeah, so I think you can be doubling, because I'm looking at the quality of the...
It's quite rich.
Yeah, it's quite a, the text yourself.
I can tell it's amazing.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Choice. I just want you to keep bragging about it.
So that,
beautiful.
Yeah, our women doing better things. Sharon, you've been bringing me a lot of women this week, and you keep surprising me with these what women are doing.
And until you get shocked. You're still surprised, but I want you to get
I'm almost getting shocked. I don't know what you have for me next week, but
I have a lot this whole month. I'm telling you, we are bringing women. We want to hear their stories and get inspiration here and there. Because most of the times we tell stories from a woman's perspective on the wrong side. But we want these positive stories that will actually encourage the young person out there to say, okay, I'm a girl, I can become this. We've done a lot of negative stories, women asking for help, women doing this all the time, violence being violent, but then we want to tell the positive side of the story for a woman out there. And I'm really, really inspired by that. I'm going to get one magazine so that I tell Michelo I have bought.
Absolutely,
I want to read
you should get yourself.
So yes, Patrick, as we conclude.
Interesting. So you can just tell us your concluding remarks, and we are hoping to host you more and more, especially when the next edition comes out, so that we can get to hear the stories that will be captured, and probably Soko will go away with a free copy then.
So just to say again that our Nachi is a platform that aims to highlight the story of the unsung heroines, to celebrate the woman, to celebrate their uniqueness, and just to remind everybody out there to never give up on your dreams. Never give up on your dreams. The challenges will be there. The discouragement will be there. If I told you the story of getting to this point of producing our Nachi, you'd probably say, no, there's no way you would have done it. But keeping your dream alive, dare to dream, keep chasing those dreams, and then eventually, with the help of the Lord and your determination, your resilience, your faith, you will behold that miracle, that dream that you've always wanted to have.
Perfect. Thank you for gracing our screens. We are happy that you could find time to be with us in the studio.
Thank you so much. It's been a joy.
Just now we take a short break as we allow our guests to step out and us taking some pictures with her. I'm not giving up on that.
Oh, by the way, this is your copy. I'm giving you your free copy. A special women's gift.
I love it.
To you.
Ooh, guys, look at this.
Now you can brag to Michelle.
Yes, I can brag.
I'm not giving Patrick, but especially for you.
I know. I have been. Okay, now we take a break. We'll be back on the other side. Stay tuned. Keep watching Camnet TV.
It's beautiful.
You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 13th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 13th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
Welcome back. You're still watching Camnet Breakfast with me, Sharon Kalimbola, and we've had a very great conversation regarding women and being a Women's Month. I keep insisting we will continue having this conversation. And in studio, we were talking to Mpunga Simukwai, who is the editor-in-chief of our Nachi magazine, which means woman. And I'm very excited that I have a copy of that, you know, Patrick. Don't be jealous. Don't be shy. If you want to cry because you don't have a copy, just do it. Don't be shy.
It's okay. It's okay. It happens. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna buy my.
So yes, you can get that copy from those selected stores that she talked about, and get to read those stories of resilience, those stories of success from women. Get inspired in one way or the other. There's always a story behind a woman. I always say that, and she mentioned, and I concurred with her. So yeah.
Yeah, indeed. What is she doing? I think that's contributing towards improving literacy levels, because a magazine, when you look at it attractively, it also helps you to have time while you're looking at the pictures. You also compelled to read some, Sharon. So we need to also look into it as a country that we improve in terms of our reading culture, because it is important for us to get abreast with various issues happening around us, because we can only know what is happening if we read. But you know, sometimes people take a laissez-faire approach towards reading, and I hope you are going to read that magazine and not just gonna shelve it and try to use it to cover the books for your child, and I hope you just gonna read, because the magazine has to be read and read.
You know, if there's something about me, Patrick, is that I'm a magazine person. When I was growing up, Mom used to like reading magazines from South Africa, Drum, People, and what. We had quite a number of those magazines, and since then I developed interest in reading magazines and not novels, because she was also an ardent reader of novels. But I preferred magazines because those of pictures. Yes. So up until today, I think it gives me much of a reminder of who I was back then, you know, reading magazines, and it's just reviving my interest. So I will definitely read that. I've received quite a number of novels from different people, different authors, but maybe I'm just on page 3, I'm on page 4, but for this, definitely, I'm going to finish it, and I'll let you know.
If you say so, you get me. You're getting me excited, and I'm assured that you're going to read the magazine.
I will definitely read.
Yeah, because of the background that I compelled you to provide.
Yes.
When I
so you see, there's always a story behind someone. So that is just a story that you never even knew about me.
I'm going to tell you a story in the magazine called Sokosi.
Our Nat. Now he's trying to compete with us. Our Nachi woman. Yes, I think we should have asked her what a man is in Namwanga.
Yes.
In Namwanga.
So
do you have a Namwanga here? No. Do you have a Namwanga here?
A Namwanga? I think Bimak. What tribe is
Bimak? Bimak's language is like English, but it's not.
Right.
Let's just pick a call there. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Calling you from within Lusaka, Reverend Manduli.
Rev.
Good morning to the both of you. Yes.
You are permanently blessed.
I am indeed. I hope you too.
We are.
Yes, we are.
Your contribution, Rev.
Thank you so much. You owe me one, huh?
Oh, really?
Yes.
And we're going to host you, I think,
how are you, my
on the show. Fine. How are you, Reverend?
I'm permanently blessed.
We need to host you in the studio.
Yes, that's what I'm telling Kalimbula, that she owes me one because she did offer me that slot, and it hasn't been coming forth.
You know, when somebody calls me Kalimbula, I definitely say yes to whatever they are saying.
Come again?
When somebody calls me Kalimbula, I say yes to everything they are saying.
Oh, good.
So it's a yes. You will appear.
So I think we can do next week, Tuesday, with Reverend.
Thank you so much for the honor. Yeah. Quickly on the topic of discussion, is Zambia on the right path to development?
Yes.
Pronouncements are one thing. Actual development is another. I think on the aspect of pronouncement, I would say it's a 50-50. You know, because certain pronouncements sound like, you know, they are tenable, others they sound more rhetoric. But when it comes to development, maybe let me give an example of an institution such as Camnet. You see, for us to see what we're seeing, the successes that have been scored just from the inception of this institution, number one is the vision by the visionaries. Number two is the systems that are put in place for that institution to be able not only to be established, but so that it can grow and flourish. Another one is the issue of human resources. The people that you put in place to be able to, rally behind that vision in order for the vision to be realized. One of the things that I see that is a big letdown in our nation is that, first of all, we do have institutions, but I think that in terms of the respect for these institutions and the rules that govern these institutions for them to effectively, function has been compromised. The occupants of those institutions are also a big culprit to a large extent, particularly, our politicians and our civil servants. There is too much, rhetoric and very less in terms of, practice.
Yeah.
I'll take, for example, the police. I'll take, for example, the council. You see, these are people that in the previous administration, we can all attest that they were overridden, if I may use that term, if it's a correct term, by the cadre in the previous regime. So it was like their powers were usurped, and so they could not effectively, perform. I'm using them as an example for many other, government institutions or public institutions.
Yes.
But then now, they've been given the leverage. They are collecting the revenue. The police have been given the leeway to effectively function. What is the benefit? What is the outcome? I think both of you and myself here and the general public out there can attest that I think the improvements are very minimal, if not maybe zero. Because we see still certain garbages, piling up in certain places. We see, the disorderliness in the CPD. We see the police also, allow me to use this word as the heavy heart, misbehaving, because I use the CPD most of the time. Go through Freedom Way, you find them, standing at certain portions, just, pouncing on flimsy, minor cases, and they'll pick this bus, they'll pick this motorist, or a certain token and come back on the road. And yet we have their supervisors who are sitting in the offices and they hear these reports. And you see very little being done. It's business as usual.
Yeah.
The council, you hear public relations officer issuing a statement. They're not getting to the ground. This is at the market where there's a complaint about certain misconduct or certain misdeeds that are going on. You just hear these pronouncements by these PRs sitting in the offices. There are people that are supposed to be on the ground, whether it is the inspectors and so forth. Look at that issue that you brought out of the chickens, dead chickens being sold. These are things that have been going on for the longest period of time. The current mayor was deputy at one time mayor of Lusaka. And these things were still going on. So you find that it's like, it's a smoke screen. We have the issue of that old building standing there in along the corner of Freedom Way and Katondo. These have been issues that have been going on. Recently, there's been, I think, 2 statements issued of, noting in the press. And it seems nothing is still being done. So I think if we are going to develop as a country, we need to have those fundamentals that I've spoken about. It's not just about the vision, but it's about respect of the institution and the people that are tasked with those responsibilities to ensure that we are proactive people and not a reactive people. When we hear things, so much in the... Can you imagine if we did have social media that seems to be alerting these things and, blowing them out? Most of the things will be swept under the carpet.
Yeah.
That's not the way society is supposed to be. We are supposed to be proactive. You can't have just the president, is the one who seems to be having this passion and the drive, want to see the country develop and, turn around this way of doing business, the business as usual syndrome or attitude or mentality. It should be all of us, the ministers, the permanent secretaries, the directors, and everyone to the, lowest person, in the rank and file. Okay. So for me, if we are going to attend development, there's a whole lot more that we need to do. So are we on the right path to development? I think it's a 50-50. We've got a long way to go. And I think that those that are mandated with this responsibility need to own up and sit up. Public offices are not places of relaxation and chatting and having speeches and all that. They are supposed to be places of, strategizing and then coming out to perform so that, the country can move forward and develop. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Rev. We'll be in touch. So yeah,
quite a number of issues.
He brought out quite a number of issues. He's a keen follower of Camnet TV, and for that we appreciate and just want to say thank you, Rev. He is indeed permanently blessed.
He is. Are you permanently blessed?
Yes, I am. He's always blessing me. How can I not?
Interesting. Good to hear that. Well, you too can add your views on the topic of discussion that we are having today on the Camnet Breakfast. Thursday edition, where our focus is usually on governance and policy. Our topic today is Zambia on the right path to development? You too can add your voice to just share with us some of the attitudes that are necessary for us to attain maximum development as a country. Reverend Mandudi is pointing out to one issue, Sharon, that the president seems to be the himself carrying the vision to take the country forward, and not most of the people, some people do not understand what they need to do or what role they need to play to ensure that Zambia is in the right path in terms of achieving its development targets.
Indeed, Patrick, I think when we talk about development, it's a holistic thing, and stakeholders keep calling to say, we are on board. We are. So it's not only you being in these public offices that you will propel the agenda of development. It is also these people who are outside as spectators, monitoring what is happening. That is also part of ensuring that resources that are made for the public are used for the right reasons.
Yeah, interesting. There you have it. And how are we going to ensure that we have that time when we say we have development, we have developed as a country, Sharon? If you look at how Ukraine is being destroyed, I'm wishing it would have been Zambia. Why didn't we exchange buildings?
They are wasting resources.
You can imagine
by bombing those good
infrastructures.
But it's an ongoing thing. Zambia is a developing country, Patrick. Obviously, you are aware of that fact. And with time, we keep advancing. We keep advancing at a snail's pace, because it's not one of those countries like Dubai. I think the other time we had Chilekwa, he was talking about how fast Dubai has developed. We have different capacities, not exactly comparing ourselves to other countries or maybe removing ourselves from this comparison, but we are moving at a pace that we may not be very, very happy with, but we are moving towards greatness.
But for me, Sharon, I think it's about how we plan as a country.
How we utilize our resources.
And if you look at our CBD, do we still need to have Findeco as our tallest building? And why is the council authorizing the construction of these two-story buildings? Because if...
do we still need the Findeco to be in grey?
Imagine.
In brick walls. What do you call those?
And that's
cement
the
walls.
legacy that was left by our first republic, the UNIP. And we should be saying we are proud and having such kind of infrastructure.
He wants another tall building.
57 years after independence, Sharon. No, we need to be looking at how we are developing our infrastructure, how we are putting up these structures, especially in the central business district, matters. And I was just amazed. I was seeing, looking at a modern Mazabuka bus station. And I was wondering, what is modern about that?
It's a shed.
What is modern?
It's just a shed. It's one of those, it looks like one of those empowerment things that the PF used to do.
You have to mean.
It's a shed. It's just a shed. I've been there. I've seen it.
Yeah, so
it's
that's
just
what I
a shed.
mean, you see?
So Patrick, I was saying, it looks like one of those empowerment programs that the Patriotic Front was giving the youths. You know, where to build car wash.
Car wash.
Yes, that's how it looks.
That's the way it looks, and you're saying we are opening up.
Mazabuka. I'm sorry.
If we're talking about Mazabuka as a city, Sharon, we need to have a intercity bus station that is modern in the sense that it could have been having a high-rise building facility. It could have been having an hotel nearby.
Did you just get to find out about the Mazabuka one?
I was looking at it on social media and I was just I was like
wondering,
what's
modern about this?
Because such structures in Lusaka, for instance, are all over there.
It's a car wash.
Like you are putting it a shade. And if we are going to develop that kind of mentality, has to change, Sharon. We need to say no. This we are putting up. It's coming with a hotel. It's coming with the lodge. If you and I, Sharon, are traveling to work and from Mazabuka, we should be able, when we drop, we should be able to go and refresh at a nearby hotel there. While we are waiting to work on our stories in the southern province, we should. The empowerment has to, even the intercities that we have in Lusaka.
It's a dilap.
It's dilapidated, and we can't be proud of such a facility. Just full of businesses around. People don't even have where to sit when they are waiting for a bus. And you're saying modern facilities.
Exactly, Patrick. Your passion for this is just overwhelming. But anyways, I hear you, and your points are really valid. Like the interview I had with Mr. Chancellor the other day, the National Action for Quality Education, they were like, government has a responsibility to provide public essentials, and one of them was schools, because it comes from the education sector. But today, looking at the transport sector that we are talking about, especially the Mazabuka thing that you have mentioned, bus station, the modern Mazabuka bus station. Alleged.
That emphasis.
No, because it surprised you. It shocked you when you... It shocked you because of the word modern. If I thought it was just bus station, you wouldn't have stopped to think further to say, okay, what are they talking about? But because of that word, that amplified the whole thing, you know, it just shocked you. It made you wonder, to say, okay, what's modern about this? This bus station that looks like a car wash, you know?
Like that.
So, yeah. Government has the responsibility to provide these facilities.
And when you mentioned, Sharon, about education and talking about Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which talks about inclusive access to education.
Quality education.
Now, we look at about facility. I was in Chawama. We were upgrading a basic school into a secondary school. Now, if you look at the facilities, the same old designs that were put before in the early 90s, 80s. They said the same. The new ones are being constructed in a similar fashion. But now, if you ask me, population is growing. With population growth, you need to put up a high-rise facility, like two or three story building that can accommodate other more pupils, as opposed to just wasting space with such kind of construction. We need to move away from that. We need to be going up. And by the time we realize that we need to go up, it will be too late. If you go to developed countries, they are going up. You know, to maximize their variable space.
Developed countries have got smaller spaces for schools, but they are big schools in that they use the high-rise format, the story format. So I really, really like that idea, Patrick, because when you do that, I think we can even do away with the issue of APU, Fiakasuva.
Exactly.
You know, learning in the afternoon is not easy. But when you have more room, more classes, you are going to have probably 7 classes or 10 classes or whatever classes at once. Everyone will be accommodated.
Then in the evening, in the afternoon,
you have no classes, just
studying.
Pupils studying for whatever they want. But otherwise, if you have somebody yakasuba, it's stressful.
You see, because
it's really stressful.
I was looking at for instance, the model that has been done by us on our behalf with the help of the Japanese government in terms of upgrading some health facilities. I'll point out some, to be specific, for Lusaka.
Okay.
Like some facilities have been upgraded into level 1 hospitals. Among them is the issue of the facilities. They are put up some buildings there. They are going up, like you are saying, with the help of the Japanese government. So when we are making some facilities going forward, we need to take the same route so that we avoid wasting space and going back to do the same things all over and again. You see, we didn't realize, for instance, that we needed a car park. Now that's when we're working on a modern car park at UTH. This is just when it was done.
Modern is the catchphrase for this morning. Let's take a breather as we allow our guests to come on set and we continue with the conversation. Good morning.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 13th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
You're still watching Camnet Breakfast. Indeed, it is Women's Month and these people are putting me on the spot. However, we are joined by the National Democratic Congress Party President, Savoy Mboela, to discuss a few pertinent issues regarding women and maybe 1 or 2 questions regarding the NDC. We can't go without talking about that. Welcome to this interview.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Happy Women's Month.
Thank you too, Sharon.
Thank you so much. This guy's jealous. Look at the way he's looking at me.
Happy Women's Day, Women's Month to you too.
Interesting. Women's Day.
It stands over green economy. Say the Happy Women's Day.
Yeah, my fellow women.
But anyways, Patrick.
Yeah, interesting. To just start our conversation, we just want to, we'll start from the women's perspective. Are we winning the gender agenda as a country as we mark the Women's Month?
Certainly we are winning, you know. We are definitely not where we want to be, but we have moved so far off from where we're coming from. You know, so Women's Day itself is that time where we look at where we're coming from, where we are, and where we want to go, you know. So a long time ago, I've been talking about the laws, for example. The laws were not there in our support. We had a lot of bad laws. But if there's one place where we have achieved, it's an issue of the laws. So the laws are now supporting us. Even you at home, if you beat your wife, you find that she will not even report you. She goes to the police and they'll tell her, no, this is a domestic issue. You get the point. But right now, the laws are there. Even yourself, if your wife beats you up, you can go and report her. You know, the police would actually laugh before and say, you know, to them it used to be funny, but they are trained right now. You'd find that even if you're a man and you're being beaten by your wife, they'll handle your situation very, very professionally. So in terms of the gender agenda, I can say that the laws right now are very good in the country, and we just have to start implementing them.
The most relevant question to us, especially this time around when we are marking the Women's Month, is what really hinders women's participation in politics, and what are the remedies to curtail that?
What hinders the women participation, I think I'll categorize in maybe 3-4 things. I would say our economic situation as women. They say poverty has a female face.
Exactly.
You know, so meaning that a lot of women are more poor than men. And then there's an issue of the traditions, cultures, you know.
people feel that it's more of a right of a man to be a leader than a woman. We do have workshops with traditional leaders, and at times in some corners of this country, you find that in a group of traditional leaders themselves, you ask them to say, who's a better leader between a man and a woman? They raise their hands, and even the women will tell you to say a man. So I say, but you're a woman yourself. Are you saying a man is a better leader than you? And they tell you, yes. Why do you say, no, according to the Bible, according to this? You know, so the traditions are very bad. But I can say that those that we have workshops with, by the time it's after the 3-4 days workshop, they change their perspective. And I'm happy that some of them have gone out there to change certain things, because that's the intention of that, you know. So there is that. And having said that, it also brings me to another reason of the Bible. The Bible also is something which is so misinterpreted by people to misjudge and you know, to underrate and undermine women. You know, especially the scripture on submission. Yes. You know, yeah, the Bible does talk about a wife submitting to the husband. It doesn't say a woman should submit to every man out there. If I'm married to somebody, I'll submit to them at home. You know, in our home setup, he is the boss, he's the head of the house. I respect him, and we will run the house like that, because where there are two heads, trust me, it's a monster that you're creating. It's always important to have one head, the other is a deputy or whatever that is. So you go on like that. But in the work environment, what you submit between Sharon and Patrick, it's your qualifications, it's your experience. It's not because she's a woman, you're a man. No, what comes in a submission there are the qualifications, are the experience, and somebody who's more advanced than the other then becomes the head. You know, but people take submission to mean everything in the work environment, to mean even in politics, to say a woman has to submit to the man. You know, so if you're submitting, meaning you're a deputy and not necessarily a leader of an organization. So those are the problems that we have actually been facing as women.
Do we have political will from the ruling party in ensuring that women are put on the pedestal? They are seen as an example of an epitome of leadership.
Sadly, from this current ruling party, we don't seem to have that. I'll give you an example just from, let's say, the PF. The PF had their problems, you know, and I think even at the time when we were very critical of the PF, I still gave them that pat on the back when it came to gender. You know, they gave us the first a woman vice president, and because of that, you saw many other political parties like the UPND itself, the NDC, and all those having women as vice presidents. And with that now, you know, when like our constitution for NDC, for example, when the president leaves, then the vice president becomes president. So some of us are here right now because of those good policies, things that were done by other parties, and then other parties also went ahead like that. So when the president left for NDC, I became the president because I was the vice president according to our constitution. You get the point. So the PF set up, you know, they had that, you know, they are the ones that started that up in terms of our political parties to show that a woman too can be in such a critical position, you know. So they had that. If you look at their cabinet, we had enough women. Even just the adoption, look at Lusaka, for example. They produced a lot of women MPs just from Lusaka. You know, Professor Kanduluwo, Margaret Monokatwe, you know, Jean Kapata, who's this?
Elizabeth Peary.
Exactly, the one was a gender minister herself, and all these women, you know. So with that, they had so many women in their, first of all, in their parliament and also in their cabinet. So it was very, very important that at least they did that. But with the UPND, first and foremost, just when they came into office, they scrapped off the Ministry of Gender. You know, and I've been very categorical by saying that Ministry of Gender does not mean that gender is only women, because gender means both men and women, okay? But because we talk about gender balance, you look at the sex that has been discriminated against, that is affected disproportionately because of their sex, and those are the ones that you uplift. So when we talk about the Ministry of Gender, as women feel that the ministry is our ministry because it sorts out women problems. You know, so they come into office, they scrap it off. When we complained as women, they said, no, it hasn't been scrapped off, it has been put under the president's office. You know, then they changed, you know, it's under the vice president's office. Then they changed and they said again, it's under the president's office. And the president even made a statement to say, because I love women so much, I've put their ministry under my office. You get the point? If really it's existing, where is a minister of gender? You get the point? Because with the ministers, they have cabinet meetings where every time they report, you know, they have those weekly meetings where they talk about their ministries. So who talks to us as women in this country? You know, when they have those cabinet meetings, nobody, because there's no minister of gender. So the UPND has not shown political will, sadly. You know, the scrapping off of the ministry is one of those things that they did, which is so, so bad. So we're commemorating Women's Day without a minister. We had 16 days of activism against GBV in December. Yet again, we did that without a minister of gender. So all those things are sad. Look at the appointments themselves. Cabinet, we have 24. The president had to appoint 24 people. He only appointed 4 women. You get the point? From those 8 nominated members of parliament that he can appoint, from 8 he nominated only 2. Not even half of the number. You know, look at the permanent secretaries. Look at the district commissioners. The numbers have been very, very bad. Right now, he's supposed to appoint the ambassadors and high commissioners, and just people going to foreign service. And we are hoping that there the number at least can improve. You know, and also let me say this: because of the way we talked for cabinet and permanent secretaries on the DCs, it improved a bit.
Improved a bit.
Yes, it did improve a bit. Yes, but we want to see on the what? Yes, on the appointment of actually on the permanent secretaries, where it improved. So the ambassadors also want to see an improvement on that.
Following the scrapping off of the Ministry of Gender, how easy or difficult is it to coordinate gender-related activities? Or if you want to advance something related to gender, how do you go about it, especially when approaching government? Is it easy or difficult at the moment?
Oh my goodness, it's hell. You know, it's hell. I have a lot of calls from the UPND women, you know, and they ask me, what do we do with this, what do we do with that? I tell them, I don't know. Your government has not given us.
Are you being mean to them?
I'm not being mean.
Are you just saying you're not who voted? So please, this is what you voted for.
Not really. When it comes to women, I don't wear a political lens at all, a partisan lens at all. So when I have information, I do give them. But when I don't have, I don't hide from that as well. So when it comes to gender-related issues, it's a serious.
I just don't believe you.
Sharon, I'm very objective with that. You know? Yeah. So when it comes to women issues, so they call me, you know, what can we do this? And they were taught from cooperatives, by the way, in terms of empowerment, autonomy from cooperatives, the youth and the women. The youth form their cooperatives, and they're taking to the Ministry of Youth right now. You know, they've been sending their proposals and everything. So the women call me, Tinapanga cooperatives, nice. We even went to Ministry of Youth, and we only need people that are below 35 years old. So where do we take the cooperatives? So I'm like, I don't know. Your government has not told us, you know. So can they tell us so that we also direct some of you? Or once they do it, you know where to go. But for now, where it is, it's so sad. Women fight so hard in these political parties. You know, and every politician will tell you to say, once you have women in your party, then you have a party. You know, the youth, sometimes they can flip-flop, the men can flip-flop, but when women decide, you know, so the UPND, exactly, when the UPND are where they are, because they do have those strong women in their party, so they should not neglect them the way they've done right now.
Get into the politics of things now. How relevant is the NDC to the Zambia's political landscape?
And this is very, very relevant, you know, because we do provide the much needed checks and balances in this country. You know, when there's a new government, people fail to speak because everybody's looking for a job. You get the point? But we are saying we don't need jobs. Our job is to speak for the Zambians. You know, we don't care whether we're going to have a 2 kwacha in our pockets, a 3 kwacha, as opposed to having 100 kwacha if we're going to associate with the ruling party. We don't care about that. So our job as NDC right now is to provide the much needed checks and balances. And we've been saying also to say we're uncomfortable calling ourselves as an opposition party because we are a proposition party. Our job is not only to oppose everything that the government does. We're not going to be a bad opposition party the way the UPND itself was. For us, when the UPND does something good, we want to say it. When they do something bad, we say it. Something right, we say it. We commend them. And that's what we've been doing. Every time they've done something right, we've gone ahead and said it. They supported.
We were part of the UPND.
Yes. I want to point out one thing that they've really done. That's really, I haven't really heard you positively of them.
Really? I'll give you 2 things. Okay, number 1, the UN resolution vote. Okay, they voted against Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And I'm sure you saw that a lot of people opposed them, but we actually commended them, you know, because whether you like it or not, what Russia did was bad, you know, because at the end of the day, the vote was about, what Russia, that was the question, were they okay to do this? You get the point. And Russia, if you look at their reasoning from the genesis of the problem to what is happening right now and them feeling insecure about the Ukraine situation where they wanted to join NATO and everything, they do have valid points, okay? But they did not have the right to invade another country like that, you know? So our government was on firm grounds to do what they did. So on that one, we support them. And any other decision that they're going to do in terms of how they're going to vote, if they're going to vote against Russia for what they did to Ukraine, as NDC, they've got 100% our support. The issue of cadres as well. The issue of cadres, I think we've been commending them for that, because I always say that I was in UPND myself, so I know how vicious those guys are. UPND has got one of the worst cadres in this country. You know, so if the president was not categorical in stopping cadreism, trust me, this country would have been burning right now. You know, that is why you see that even when he has said what he has said, it's still very hard for them to stop. They still are going out there. You know, so I should continuously keep saying that this cadreism has to stop, because if he does not do that, the country, like I said, will really, really bend. So on that one, I really commend him. In as much as cadreism has not died down, because like I said, these people are, I can do something else. You know, so that is something that he has really, really done well. Issues of, for example, so even free education, they've not done what they said they would do, but the fact that some fees have been scrapped off here and there, it's important, a step in the right direction, you know, but they need to just do free education, as they said. The biggest problem that we have is tertiary education and not really primary and secondary school. So there it's like wanati gonga, you know, wanati gonga, but a small step, I think, is something that at least it's something which we can commend them for.
Interesting. Analysts have been of the view, especially the political activists, who have been of the view that some numbers that have been going on in the NDC may affect your vibrancy as an opposition political party, because just last week, Sharon and I were preview to a group calling itself as well the NDC, putting up new leaders.
You have a new contender.
And you have a new contender. It's no longer Mr. Msenge now.
You have something like that.
Sichula, yes. But how are we going to put this matter to a rest, so that you people can focus on building the party and as well as providing checks and balances?
I'll tell you what Jesus said when the disciples went to him and said they found people that were preaching in his name and they were saying this and that, and like they should stop them. He said, no, don't stop them. If they're not against us, they are for us. You get the point? So they're doing all those funny things, thinking that they're destroying the NDC and everything. They're mobilizing. You know, actually they're mobilizing people and everything. By the time the court rules and they don't have where to go, they'll feel that they're NDC and we'll bring them on board. So they're doing our work for us. You know, so they're not, if they're not against us, they're for us in terms of mobilization and everything. And I'm sure I've seen that their party, or rather not their party, their group keeps on disintegrating. You get the point? To me, I can't even call them a faction. They don't even qualify to be a faction. You know, if you look at the genesis where this came from, Mr. Kafumba, you know, we always thought them. Mr. Kafumba was doing that for his own personal gain. He wanted a job, you know, and he convinced them to say he didn't want a job. No, look, I've got these cars, I've got this house. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing it for you. I don't want a job myself. But when the UPND won, who was appointed? Just him alone. So when he was appointed, you saw that Father Rwande, people like, because if I to be replaced Kafumba, he was not replaced. He has joined the UPND formally with his other group. The other group, the person was Mr. Kafumba's vice president, the SG, all that other group, them they felt very upset. Also, they just stopped. So if you look at Mrs. Bridget Atanga, Professor Tanga, Mr. Mwanza, all those people have gone mute. Franklin Membe, 2-3 days ago, we saw him join the UPND formally. So to me, they have disintegrated. For them to even come up with the kind of leadership that I'm seeing right now, those are jokes. Because if you look at even at party level, those people were neither here nor there. You get the point? At least the other people that they masqueraded as leaders were at the were in the central committee of the NDC, meaning that what is this? They were top leaders of the party, national leaders, but they've remained with people that were at provincial level. You get the point? So those are the leaders now they are bringing to the country to say these are our leaders. So us who know the party are just laughing. And with that now a lot of people keep on coming, because at first we were refusing people that went to come back, but right now we're actually receiving people and we're getting more and more from their side. It's so sad that the court case is delaying all these things. And when they say, you know, they say justice delayed is justice denied. We're being denied justice because they're creating a media circus. To us, it's only a media circus. Once the court case rules, it won't be a problem anymore. And also, let me remind you that the matter in court is where Akafumba took Dr. Chishimba Kambwiri to say he's masquerading as NDC president. That's got nothing to do with the party. So that case is just inconveniencing us for no reason. Mr. Kafumba is no longer NDC, he's a civil servant. Dr. Kambwiri is no longer NDC, he's PF. You know, not even the last time we appeared in court.
It's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue. Even the last time we appeared in court, I remember the judge even saying, why don't you go out there and just sort it out there?
Exactly.
Yes. And that, yes.
Because the people who were involved in the case are
and
no
they're no longer part of us. You get the point. And if you go to what? If you go to even government right now, the people that are recognized are us. You know. No wonder even when the UPND won, they won as a political party. The people that they invited for the inauguration was myself. You know, the inauguration, Independence Day, all these things. It's me that they've been inviting. It's only Women's Day that they are playing their politics. Yes. And of all things, for me, they should not even maybe have invited me for all these other things, but they should have invited me for Women's Day. Of all things, they don't invite me for Women's Day. That one I've taken it very, very personally because I'm a woman president, whether they like it or not. I'm the president of the NDC. It's not UPND to decide who runs this political party. It's us. No wonder our members are not UPND, they are NDC. So the NDC members will decide who NDC president is according to their constitution. You get the point. It's not for them to determine. Cabinet does have a list of registered political parties in this country with their leaders, and the name that appears there is my name and my contact addresses. So for the UPND to do what they did over Women's Day, I think it's very, very bad, and exactly what I said earlier on, to say they don't have regard for women. So their intolerance, their hatred, first of all, for other political parties and women, this unclear agenda for women is very, very disappointing, to say the least.
As we conclude this interview, 6 months of the UPND in office, just summarize it.
Well, 6 months of the UPND in office is very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. If I was to give them maybe a score, I'd give them 2 out of 10. The issue of cadarism is something that they've done very well. Then the issue of, what other issue? Oh, just cadarism, actually. It looks like it's only cadarism that they've done well.
Many pronouncements have been made.
Pronouncements, yes. You know, they can't do something in 1, 2 months or even 6 months, but that policy direction, we should see where we're going. Right now, they're too slow. Just appointing the cabinet, the president was, it was just in his own world. He was very slow to appoint cabinet. We had to start talking as opposition leaders. Permanent secretaries, DCs, right now we have, we need to have ambassadors in all these foreign missions. He's not doing that. So just appointing of his team has been very, very challenging. You know, look at the fuel prices. He was saying that, no, there's an issue of middleman. If we come in, we take away the middleman so that the prices go down. He had, the price of fuel was 17 kwacha. They had the most, you know, the kind of increment we've never ever seen in this country, from 17 all the way to about 22 kwacha, 4 kwacha increment, you know. So the prices have gone up. The prices of commodities have gone up. Everything has actually gone up. So everything they promised, by the way, including the issue of the free education I talked about, in its totality from free education, from primary all the way to tertiary education, they have not done that. So they've lied a lot. Employment, we saw the doctors and teachers are demonstrating just the other day. You get the point. They said they're going to employ 11,000 doctors. The doctors that were demonstrating were only 800. And they said they can only employ 100 from there. So if they can employ 100 in 2022, how many will they be employing in the next 3-4 years? You know? How many are they going to be employing? And are they going to reach the 11,000 mark? You know, the issue of debt swap and everything. There's so many things that they did promise the civil servants and all those things. You know, the 1,500 kwacha increment across the board, they failed to do that. I think they gave them a mere 12% or so. You know, so the 12 months, or rather the 6 months of the UPND in office is very, very disappointing. And the only thing they have is time on their side. You know, they do, this is 2022, they do have a bit more time. So if they do things right, trust me, they can turn around things, you know.
Are we moving in the right direction towards economic development, yes or no?
Certainly not. We don't know what is going on. You get the point. There's no policy direction, you know, because like I said earlier on, they can't do certain things in 6 months, but we need to see the wheel begin to turn, and it's not turning. Look at where even the dollar is, kwacha to dollar at the moment. You know, there's certain things that even as opposition, and somebody says, you know, okay, this one is good at this, one is good at that. So at least even when they fail at this, they'll be good at that. If there's one thing that some of us even also believed in, despite us not being UPND, is the issue of the economy. We said, okay, this is an economist, he's a good businessman. They say he's the richest man in Zambia. So he may fail at everything else, but I'm sure he'll sort out the economy. You get the point?
They say.
Yeah, they say. Exactly. No, we don't see his money, we just hear it. We hear about it. You get the point? So at the end of the day, if really he was that great economist, a great businessman, there are certain things we would have wanted to start seeing in the country. And we are not seeing that at all. So that is very, very disappointing, to say the least.
Okay.
Well, there you have it. We've been having a conversation with the NDC President, Savoy Imbwela, and a gender and child rights activist as well. We started our conversation on women as perspective, and we talked a little bit of politics. The time is not on our side. Sharon?
Thank you for coming, Madam President, as I always call you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you, Patrick. Always great being here.
It's a very thin presidential race for women, but we appreciate that you take this opportunity to just keep on pressing and ensuring that women are represented on that level.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So for that, we are grateful.
Thank you so much.
On our side, we say bye-bye until next time when we come, me and Sharon, next week on Wednesday and Thursday with another episode of the Camnet Breakfast, Policy and Governance. Stay tuned to Camnet TV. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.